We're back in session and County Court at Law number 2 of Jefferson County, Texas, Judge Terrence Holmes presiding. And we're back in session on our Rayma docket. Now, when I call your name, I'm gonna have you come up. You're gonna stand before the bench on the X. Davian Durgan. Your full name is Davian Durgan. Mr. Durgan, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Durgan, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Mr. Durgan, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Durgan? You doing all right? Okay, now, Mr. Durgan, I have before me two documents. First document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without an Attorney. Mr. Durgan, do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? And are these your initials on the line that states that you want to apply for court-appointed attorney? Mr. Durgan, I also have another document that's titled Affidavit of Indigence. Do you recognize this document? And Mr. Durgan, on page 2 of this same document, is this your signature? Now, Mr. Durgan, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I've just mentioned, did you read the documents? Did you understand what you read? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Okay, Mr. Durgan, I've read your responses on these documents. You meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of a court-appointed attorney. And your attorney that's going to be appointed in this case is Mr. Brent Turk. Okay, Mr. Durgan, just have a seat and wait for your name to be called by the court's coordinator. Here you go. We'll get after her. Eric Smith Sr. Okay, your full name is Eric Smith Sr., is that correct? What was it?
Eric Darnell Christopher Smith Sr.
Okay, I see Eric Christopher Smith.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
That's your full name?
No, but that's fine.
Okay. Now, Mr. Smith, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Smith, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Smith, how are you doing?
Okay.
That's good. Mr. Smith, I have two documents before me. The first document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without an Attorney. You recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature on the line that says defendant?
Yes.
And are these your initials on line stating you want to apply for court-appointed attorney?
Yes.
Also, I have a document that's titled Affidavit of Indigence. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And on page 2 of this document, is this your signature on the line that says defendant signature?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Smith, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did you read the documents?
Yes.
And did you understand what you read? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Smith, I've read the document, your affidavit, and based on your responses, you meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of court-appointed attorney. And your attorney that's going to be appointed in this case is Mr. Kyle Walker. Okay, Mr. Smith, just go have a seat. And when they call your name, you're gonna come back up before the court coordinator on the 4X. Here you go. Pass that over to her. Jalen Adams. I'm doing fine. How you doing, Mr. Adams? Mr. Adams, your name is Jalen Adams, is that correct?
Jalen Adams.
Okay, Mr. Adams, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Adams, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Adams?
Doing good.
That's good. Now, Mr. Adams, I have before me two documents. First document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without an Attorney. You recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that says defendant?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials on the line stating that you want to apply for a court-appointed attorney? Also, I have before me a document that is titled Affidavit of Indigence. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of this document, there's a signature above this line that is titled Defendant Signature. Is that your signature? Now, Mr. Adams, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I've just mentioned, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you understand what you read? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Okay, Mr. Adams, I've read your documents, read your responses in the affidavit of indigence. Based on your responses, you meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of a court-appointed attorney. And your attorney that's going to be appointed in your case is Mr. John West. Mr. Adams, just go have a seat. And when you're back where you're sitting, and then when your name is called, you're going to go up to the window in front of the court coordinator.
Okay.
Here you go. Constance Duval. How you doing, Ms. Duval? I'm doing fine. Ms. Duval, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Ms. Duval, you may put your hand down. Ms. Duval, I have 2 documents before me. The first document is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without Attorney. You recognize this document? Is this your signature on the line that states that's titled Defendant? And are these your initials on the line stating you want to apply for court-appointed attorney? I also have a document that's titled Affidavit of Indigence. Do you recognize this document? And on page 2 of this same document, Ms. Duval, is that your signature on the line that's titled Defendant? Now, Ms. Duval, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did you read the documents? Did you understand what you read? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Okay, Ms. Duval, I've read your affidavit of indigence based on your responses. You meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of court-appointed attorney, and your attorney that's going to be appointed to you in this case is Mr. William Wilkerson. So, Mr. Duval, just have a seat, and once your name is called, wait for your name to be called. Once your name is called, you're going to go to the window in front of our court coordinator. Devin Costello. Okay, your name is Devin Castello? Devin Castello? How you doing, Mr. Castello?
Doing good.
That's good, Mr. Castello. Would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Castello, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. Mr. Castello, I have before me 2 documents. First document is Judge's Explanation of Defendant's Right of Defendant Rights. Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without an Attorney. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
Are these your initials on the line that's titled, I want to apply for court-appointed attorney? Also have before me an affidavit of indigence. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of this document, there's a signature on that line that's titled Defendant Signature. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Castello, based on your responses in the affidavit of indigence, you meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of court-appointed attorney. And your attorney that is going to be appointed to you in this case is Attorney Langston Adams. Mr. Castello, just have a seat, go back and have a seat, and then once your name is called, you're gonna go to the window, and she'll give you the instructions on how to contact your attorney and how your attorney is gonna contact you. And once you finish, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
Yes, sir.
Merrick McCown. Okay, how you pronounce your last name? McGowan? Okay. Ms. McGowan, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks, Doctor. Ms. McGowan, I've read, well, first of all, let me do this. I have a document before me that is titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without an Attorney. Did you recognize this document? And is this your signature on this document?
Yes,
And are these your initials on the line stating you want to apply for court-appointed attorney?
yes, sir.
I'm gonna get this back to you. Could you please put the day's date on it? Thank you. Ms. McGowan, I also have before me a document that's titled Affidavit of Indigence. Do you recognize this document? And on page 2 of this document, there's a signature on the line that says defendant's signature. Is that your signature? Now, Ms. McGowan, prior to signing in initially in these documents that I just mentioned to you, did you read the documents? Did you understand what you read? Is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Okay. Ms. McGowan, I read your affidavit of indigence based on your responses. You meet the eligibility requirements for appointment of court-appointed attorney. Attorney that will be appointed to represent you in this case, Attorney Terrence Allison. Have a seat, and once you wait for your name to be called, once your name is called, you're gonna go to the window in front of our court coordinator, and once you finish there, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. You're welcome. Reagan Jones. Your name is Reagan Jones?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Jones, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Jones, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Jones, you may put your hand down. Ms. Jones, I have before me two documents. First document titled Judge's Explanation to Defendants Without an Attorney. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
You recognize it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and is this your signature on this document?
Yes, sir.
Are these your initials online stating you want to apply for court-appointed attorney?
Yes, sir.
I also have a document that is titled Affidavit of Indigence. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant Signature. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Jones, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did you read the document?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Jones, I've read your affidavit of indigence, and based on your responses, you meet the eligibility requirements for appointment of court-appointed attorney. And your attorney that's going to be appointed to you in this case is Mr. Don Boudreaux. Ms. Jones, have a seat and wait for your name to be called. Once your name is called, you're going to go to the window in front of our court coordinator. And once you finish at the window, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. Dakota Poindexter. Your name is Dakota Poindexter, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Poindexter, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Poindexter, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Poindexter, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Poindexter? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Mr. Poindexter. I have before me two documents. First document is Judge's Explanations to Defendants Without Attorney. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials on the line states I want to apply for court-appointed attorney?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Poindexter, I also have a document that is titled Affidavit of Indigence. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this document, there's a signature on the line that is titled Defendant's Signature. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Poindexter, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Poindexter, based on your responses in your affidavit of indigence, you meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of court-appointed attorney. And your attorney that is going to be appointed to represent you in this case is Attorney Tom Burbank. Mr. Poindexter, just have a seat. You're gonna wait for your name to be called. Once your name is called, you're gonna go to in front of the court coordinator. And once you finish with the court coordinator, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. Heather Areka. Okay. Now this is cause number 324-664. Your name is Heather Areka.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Areka, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Areka, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Areka, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Ms. Areka?
Good, how about you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, Ms. Areka. I have before me two documents. The first document is titled Judge's Explanations to Defendants Without Attorney. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials on the line that states I want to apply for a court-appointed attorney?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Rake, I also have another document here that's titled Affidavit of Indigence. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of the same document, Mr. Rake, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant Signature. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Rake, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did you read the documents?
Yes, sir.
And did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Rake, I read your responses in the affidavit of indigence, and based on your responses, you meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of court-appointed attorney. Your attorney that's going to be appointed to represent you in this case is Mr. Bruce Carr. Mr. Raker, please have a seat, and once your name is called, you're going to go to the window in front of the court coordinator. And once you finish with the court coordinator, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
All right, thank you. You too.
Naisha Frank. Mr. We're gonna get into her. I'm gonna have to go over it with her. Okay, your full name is Naisha Frank?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, Ms. Frank, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Frank, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, Ms. Frank, I have before me some documents. First document is titled Judge's Explanation to Defendants Without an Attorney. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials on the line that state I want to apply for court-appointed attorney?
Yes, sir.
And I have another document, it's titled Affidavit of Indigence. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of this document, above the line that is titled Defendant Signature, is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Frank, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did you read these documents?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Frank, based on your responses in the affidavit of indigence, you meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of court-appointed attorney. And your attorney that will be appointed to you in this case is Attorney Joel Vasquez. Ms. Frank, you also have been handed a document that is titled Standard Bond Conditions in County Court at Law Number 2. Do you see that document?
Yes, sir.
Now, I will go over this document with you, and it reads, following arrest and/or accusation in County Court at Law Number 2 of Jefferson County, Texas, all bail bonds executed for release of any defendant named herein or orders subject to the following conditions. Number 1, the defendant shall commit no offense against the laws of this state, any other state, or of the United States. Do you understand that condition?
Yes, sir.
Condition number 2, defendant shall submit to testing for drugs and alcohol at any time as directed by the court. The court may revoke the bond and order the arrest of any defendant who A, refuses to submit to a test for drugs and alcohol when directed to do so by the court, or B, submit to a test for drugs and alcohol, and the test indicates the presence of drugs and alcohol in the defendant's body, and that's pursuant to the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 17.44, Section A2 and Section C2. Do you understand that condition?
Yes, sir.
And condition number 3 states that the defendant shall not communicate either directly or indirectly with the alleged victim of the pending offense, and the defendant shall not go near any residence, school, or other location frequented by the alleged victim. And the alleged victim in this case is Kendall Lisa Thomas. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, condition number 4 does not apply to you because that only applies in a DWI case. In your case, it's not a DWI case. Now, Ms. Frank, if you violate any one of these conditions of your probation, of your bond can be revoked. And if your bond is revoked, that simply means a warrant be issued for your arrest. You'll be arrested and placed in the Jefferson County Jail. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Frank, you're going to have a seat and wait for your name to be called. Once your name is called, you're going to go in front of our court coordinator, and she'll give you all the information on how to contact your attorney, Mr. Joel Vasquez. And once you finish with her, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
Yes, sir.
Heaven Andrews? Okay, your name is Heaven Andrews? Ms. Andrews, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Andrews, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Andrews, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Ms. Andrews?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. Now, Ms. Andrews, I was looking here at your affidavit of indigence. Let me do this here. Ms. Andrews, pursuant to Article 1.24 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, you have a right to have all trials and proceedings shall be public. However, pursuant to Lilly versus State, 365 Southwest 3rd, 321, the right to a public trial is not absolute and may be outweighed by other competing rights or interests such as interest in security, preventing disclosure of non-public information, or ensuring that a defendant receives a fair trial. And what that simply means, you have a right. Now, your case is being broadcast via YouTube, so it's out to the public. And I was getting ready to ask you some information, some questions concerning your affidavit of indigence. And so that may disclose some information that you would not, that you may not or want to have broadcast. Okay. And so based on that, if you desire to close this case, to close this proceeding to the public, you can make that request. Okay. So do you want this proceeding closed to the public or not? Or do you not want it closed to the public? Okay. Okay, so Ms. Andrews, now I see here that, okay, when you say it doesn't really matter, so you don't mind it being open to the public? You don't mind, okay. Now, Ms. Andrews, it states that here that your income, your take home is about $1,200 a month. Is that correct? Okay. And I see here, you as an asset, I guess, is it a car that you have? You say it's worth about 500? Oh, okay, I was just reading on the responses that you gave here. It said assets, houses, car, etc. And you said $500. Oh, well, that was supposed to be on the other side where it says transportation costs. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is give you an opportunity to make that adjustment. You're gonna put it on this side where it says transportation costs. You can put it right here where you got 100, you know, that includes your gas, you know, maintenance, if you have a car note, if you have car insurance, etc. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get this back to you so that you can just have a seat. She has a clipboard and a pen. You can just fill that out and make those adjustments. And at this time, Keandre Jones. You come on up. We're in session in cause number 326-380. The case is Style of State of Texas versus Keandre Jones. Mr. Jones, is that your full name?
Sure.
Is that your full name? You have to
Yes, sir.
speak up. Okay, Mr. Jones, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Jones, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Jones, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Jones?
Cool.
You say you cold?
Good.
Oh, you good? Okay, that's good. Now, Mr. Jones, I have before me a document that is titled Information. In this document, it alleges that you, Keandre Jones, on or about February 24th of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of interference with emergency telephone call. Mr. Jones, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Jones, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, Mr. Jones, are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish, there, right there, because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jones, I also have before me, oops, wrong one. Mr. Jones, I also have before, uh-oh. See no records. Must be under something. I can't get in, they don't have nothing on the tablet. I went in the arraignment, it says no records. Today is the 4th.
Do they have sometimes they put the wrong court on there.
I did, I went to
Okay.
CCPP at one, let me see, let me try it again. Yeah, it says there are no records for 1/4/2022. Just have a seat. We'll call you back up.
I might try this one, Judge. It was work. I don't know if it'll do any differently, but
I don't know. Okay. Okay, well, maybe, okay, let me try that. Unless it's, let me see. No, it says there are no records. Did it, I wonder what happened.
pull them up for me. I don't know.
See, you just- Oh, okay. Let's see, we can get Miss, that's Miss, Jeff Andrews. Come on back up. You can hand that to me. All right, thanks, Ms. Andrews. Okay, let me ask you a question. Now, I know when you had it over in one column, you said it was, that was gas and stuff, that was 500. But now, in this, when you put it over here, you just have it as 200. I'm just, I mean, seem like you would just put the whole 500 over there. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, well, at first, when you had assets, car, house, etc., it was $500. Then I asked you, was that the value of your car? You said no. You said that was your gas. Okay, but under transportation, where you're supposed to put your gas, you didn't put 500, you put 200.
Yes, because I thought it was something different. I thought it was something different.
Now, when transportation, that includes all your transportation. That includes your gas that you pay for.
Well, I'm self-employed, so it
I know, but I'm just saying, but my point, I guess what I'm saying is, if you're saying your gas is 500, then transportation, your 500 would have to come over here. It would be more than 200. It wouldn't go down, you know. I know you had at one time for transportation costs, you had 100. And then you said you was gonna move this 500 over into that same column, so that would make it 600. You understand what I'm saying?
yes.
Okay, well, one thing what we're trying to do is make sure that you put down, whatever your cost is, you gotta add all of that up. Like if you got a car note, if
That's
you,
what I thought it meant was the car.
no, it's not, okay. If, for example, let me tell
understand
you,
that now.
it says if you got a car note, so if you got gas, you're gonna add the fuel, you're gonna add that to the car note. So for example, if your car note is $100, you're paying 500 in gas, 100 plus 500 is 600. And then if you have insurance that you might be paying, your car insurance, you're gonna add that too per month, okay? So, so even though it says transportation costs, that means, your car note, your fuel bills.
I know, that's why I lowered it, because like I said, I read it to be something else.
Can
You
you
s-
speak up? I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's writing down everything.
That's why I changed it to 200 instead of 500,
Okay,
because I misunderstood it at first.
okay. Now, what about your car insurance? You pay car insurance?
Yes, sir.
You could add that to it too. Okay. So you could add that to the 200. I don't know how much you're paying a month on your car insurance. Whatever that is, you can add that to it too. Okay. Let's see. So I'll just get that back to you. You can and you could just add that. See, you see what it says right here with transportation, right here 200. You're gonna add that to the your car insurance bill to that too. Where is- Okay, thank you. Okay, 590, okay. Okay. So, let me see. 490, 550. So that'll be about, okay. So, just take a look at that. What I did, at the bottom, is where you had 490. I put, I just put 550. Just make sure that that's correct. Because I think you forgot to put the, add the 60 in there.
60.
Right,
Yes, sir.
okay. All right, now, Miss, let me do this here. Now, Miss Andrews, I have before me a document that's titled Judge's Explanation of Rights to Defendants Without Attorney. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature where it says defendant?
Yes, sir.
And are these your initials stating you want to apply for court-appointed attorney?
Yes, sir.
And I have before me a document that's titled Affidavit of Indigence. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 2 of this document, is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm gonna just put my initial. Where I made the change, I'll put my initials. Now, do I have your permission to make that change?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, Ms. Andrews, based on, now, did you read all of these documents that I just mentioned to you?
Yes, sir.
And did you understand what you read?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Andrews, based on the responses in the affidavit of indigence, you meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of a court-appointed attorney. And your attorney that will be appointed to represent you in this case is Attorney Giles Cole. Ms. Andrews, you're gonna have a seat in that chair that have that black and yellow tape on it. Oh, you ready for it? Well, just go stand on the X in front of our court coordinator and follow her directions. And once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. Where is that? I need to get her case. Oh, she on page 4. Let's see the point. And this. Positional. Here you go. What's that cause? Here you go. Thank you. Okay. We'll be in recess.